What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to a Fire Emblem Three Houses and gaming news video. Today, we've got some fantastic information for you guys. Something that got me definitely excited when it comes to the campaign length with Fire Emblem Three Houses. You guys see it. You guys know I was going to talk about it because we had some showing action going down on Twitter when we first heard about this. Shout outs to Eurogamer, the French website, and also Games Radar Plus as well. All of them had the lowdown on this information, so let's go ahead and hop right in. So in the recent interview, Kazu Kihara, the producer of Fire Emblem Three Houses, in addition to Genki Yokota, talked about the length of Fire Emblem Three Houses and what we can expect. So we did have a video where we talked about there's going to be 80 hours on a single playthrough, and that is not skipping any of the dialogue. We don't know how many side quests or other things that he did, but not skipping any of the dialogue and not skipping any of the cutscenes. 80 hours on one playthrough. But now we have an expansion in terms of what many people were thinking. Well, okay, that's one playthrough, but there's 3 different houses that you can play through. What will be the total hours of playtime? Well, now we have some light on that here. So, quote, to finish the game with just one of the 3 houses, it took me 80 hours. I did not cut vocals or cut scenes, of course. So if you want to do 3 paths, it can take you more than 200 hours. And that's the big thing that everybody is getting super excited about, is the amount of value and gameplay that you're going to get into Fire Emblem Three Houses. We already knew the 80 hours for one playthrough, not skipping anything. That's pretty good. And if you look at it, like you look at it compared to like other RPGs, kind of comparable to a Persona or a Dragon Quest, not doing everything, you can get a lot of playtime out of it. However, there is the 3 paths, and with those 3 paths, you're going to have not just different perspectives with the same events happening post the time skip, but actually different things that happen in those 3 paths. So you're going to want to play through all 3 of them so you can get the full experience of the game. And for those that are intimidated about this process, because there are, don't be intimidated about it. You can go through the game, you can skip through things if you don't want to. You don't have to do all the stuff that they're saying here. I personally feel that they just made Fire Emblem Three Houses more of a rounded out RPG experience than being a little bit more streamlined and basic like it was before. So pretty much all you had was the mission. You had some cutscenes, then you had the mission that started up, and then that was that. But now you actually have other events that you can do. You have more side quests, you have fishing, you have the stuff that you can do like with the cafeteria, you have the relationship building, you have the teaching. So all they've done is add more elements to it, which you don't necessarily have to go through all of that. You can just skip it, or you don't have to do it at all. You can just fight and do it like a traditional Fire Emblem game with some exceptions here and there. But let's talk about what we can expect through these 3 paths here and kind of what's going to happen, because that's one of the things that people are saying is like, okay, it's just going to be different perspectives, right? Which I talked about that it's not, but I want to get into it a little bit more because that's what Fire Emblem Fates was, right? It was kind of like a different perspective thing, and you're kind of getting a few different missions, like what happened on this side and then what happened on this side, but that's not going to be the case according to my playtime, because as many of you guys know, but if you didn't know, if you're one of the newer subscribers, I actually got a chance to play Fire Emblem Three Houses myself over in Los Angeles at the Golan, Nintendo's PR headquarters, and I was told from Nintendo Treehouse themselves, Chico, that this is not like Fire Emblem Fates when it comes to Birthright and Conquest and what they did there. It's literally 3 different things with different side quests, different things that happen, different cutscenes. So there's definitely more post the time skip than anything. And unlike those other games, you're not going to have to buy both versions in order to get all of the content or get all of the story. And in Fire Emblem Fates' case, you actually 3 of them, because there's also the Revelations as well. So you have 3 different campaigns there, whereas this one, you have 3 different campaigns or house paths that you can go through, but it's all in one game for $60, which you don't need the expansion pass in order to get all of that content. So with the expansion pass, that's stuff that they haven't talked about yet. That's going to be rolling out throughout 2019, and I do have a video on that. But the game is going to be complete within the $60 product, so that's going to be really good. 200 hours is a lot of time. It is a lot of time to put into a game. However, when it comes to Fire Emblem Fates, I did put around 200 hours into that game, but that game has online multiplayer, so I know I played that a little bit. There are some other different things that you can do with previous heroes coming into the game. I know with Awakening, I put around 150 hours into Awakening, but that game has a ton of DLC that I purchased and that I actually farmed farmed for certain things in order to get stuff. So there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to that. If he's saying that it's going to be 200 hours with 3 paths played through, 80 hours on a single one, you can probably cut that down a little bit if you skip through or you don't read everything. So maybe it's about 50, 60 hours for some people, or maybe it's about 70 hours. And it really is going to matter with what you do. I mean, do you take all the time to recruit every single member that you can have? Do you actually do a lot of fishing? Do you do other things? Do you skip through? I mean, how hard is the game like to you? Do you fail certain missions that have to go back and replay them? I mean, that's going to be a big factor into a lot of this stuff. So for me personally, I'm going to be taking my time with this. I think I'm definitely going to spend at least 200 hours in this game playing through all the different stuff, because I know when I play through a Fire Emblem game, I'm pretty thorough. Like I stated with Fire Emblem Awakening and also Fire Emblem Fates with Birthright and Conquest, I took a lot of time throughout those games kind of getting everything, and it seems like this game, Three Houses, has a lot more content than what those other games had. So I'm looking forward to seeing pretty much all of the experience and all of that. Now, to get into this last bit before we get into the whole Yokai Watch situation, please make sure you guys check out my previous videos on Fire Emblem Three Houses. A lot of you guys are asking questions about stuff for beginners, and I actually already answered that in one of my previous ones. I'll have a link to it in the description below, or it'll also be at the end of this video. I do want to show you guys just a little bit more of the footage when I went out and played the game Fire Emblem Three Houses in Los Angeles, and I wanted to show you guys just a little bit more footage. Nothing spoilerish or anything like that, just some more of the combat that I did and all that. So enjoy that before we get into the Yokai Watch news.
I was there. She's resting. She and I checked, and she pitched this one day.
Well done. You have my thanks.
Choice. Feeling stronger.
All right, now moving on to the final topic here, guys. Yokai Watch 4 has been officially confirmed for the West. We do have that coming out of the Anime Expo. Level 5 has confirmed that, and they actually showed a trailer to the people there. And guess what about this trailer, guys? There was actually English subtitles already in there. So the work, what they're getting done, is already in process. It's already going. So that is a good sign for this game. Probably coming out next year, I would guess. If I had to put a guess, I would say next year. I know I've had some people reach out to me on Twitter thinking that it's going to be 2 years from now or so, and I don't think so. I think they're going to have a little bit more urgency to get this game out than the ones before, because the previous games made a ton of money when it comes to day one, with the exception of the original Yokai Watch. But the previous 2 and 3 made so much money because they had a bigger launch. But the move to an action RPG and leaving off Yokai has made this one a little bit less popular. On top of that, you look at the install base of the Nintendo Switch compared to the Nintendo 3DS. You don't have as many children probably with the system as the 3DS had, so that led to a little bit of neutered sales in Japan when it comes to Yokai Watch 4. But I do feel that, with that being said, with Japan, I think here in America there is an opportunity for this game to do very well because of the move to an action RPG because of the graphics and because most people didn't really know the yokai anyway, so cutting out the yokai isn't as big of a deal, especially when you're moving to a brand new combat system. So I do feel that there is plenty of interest and opportunity for Yokai Watch 4 to be the best-selling Yokai Watch game here in the West, and even potentially outsell what they did in Japan, which has never happened in the franchise's history if you're looking at what they've done with Yokai Watch. And you also have to factor in that the previous Yokai Watch games were localized by Nintendo. Nintendo kind of stepped in and helped there, and they announced this, but they didn't give any more details. Well, why didn't they give any more details? Because it's probably because Nintendo is going to be announcing the game formally and trying to market this one as a big Japanese exclusive for the Nintendo Switch here in the West. I mean, they tried their best with Yokai Watch 3 and everything, but it just didn't work because the 3DS was already on its way out. People were looking for stuff on the Nintendo Switch. People were already talking about the Switch. So I think that's the reason why Yokai Watch didn't work out here. It's not because of the anime or anything like that. And if you look at what they're doing, this one suits American tastes a lot more, or Western tastes, I should say, a lot more than what you'd seen before, because the battle systems in previous games were really weird. A lot of people didn't even get it when you showed it off. And this one's very straightforward when it comes down to, you see the humans fighting, you also see the yokai fighting, and you can switch between them. So I think this one's actually going to have a pretty big impact here in the West. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Nintendo announces, maybe at a Nintendo Direct later this year. They formally announced Yokai Watch and it's coming spring 2020. That would be my guess on that one. I don't think it's going to be this year. I mean, there's a slight chance, but I really doubt it. There's just so many games coming up this year, but we don't know the lineup from October, November, and December. So maybe it falls in between one of those, with the exception of like Pokemon and a few other games that have been outlined, but we don't know anything else. So maybe Yokai Watch does kind of fit in somewhere there, but I would guess that it's going to be a 2020 game, a spring 2020 or so. So what do you guys think about all this when it comes to Fire Emblem in addition to Yokai Watch 4? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for this RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.